What's up, party people? Hey, it's Skag Man. You're in Skag's Garage. Bald man. Yeah. I'm not doing no Keeps advertisement, though. It's long past for me. But anyway, back in the garage and about to get into the trunk. I'm going to wrap the stereo wiring up. I'm going to tidy that up. I'm going to show you around as far as what I did. Getting my battery in place. And we'll go from there. So let's get to it. So we're in the trunk, and if you guys remember from the other video, I have my compressors mounted on this board here, and it's sitting vertical, and up top I have my air distribution block, the AccuAir, the relay for the compressor power, the relay for the controller switch. And over here I have, let me get these wires out of the way. This is what I'm working on today. I have the distribution block for the positive power. You see I have my cables coming in here, it's fused. And I have my ground cable coming in here. It's going to the, one to the compressor, two to the amps. And got it all routed, clean that way. And what we're tackling today is the wiring for the stereo. So we'll get that taken care of. My cables for the positive and negative are running over behind the carpet. Let me show you guys what I did with the battery. Fabricated up a mount. This being an Optima battery, you can mount it any way you want. So I have a hold down strap here along with a cushion in there. And the positive cable, of course, I ran all the way up to the front of the car. And from that we got the leads coming out for the that's going to the power distribution block. And we have the ground cable, and that's going right underneath and straight to the frame of the car. And we got the negative cable running routed up that way. And it's all kind of neat and tidy. Snaps there. Never see it. And I still got to get this trunk trimmed back in. But we're going to be working on this today. And I got some stuff to show you guys that I thought was pretty neat. We'll get to it. Okay, so I kind of got ahead of myself. These are my RCA connections from the head unit, from the radio. Front right, front left, rear right, rear left. And what I have left, I have one more RCA connection for my subwoofer, and I'm going to use the spare to run my video back up to the head unit from the backup camera. Also, what I have is my front left and front right speaker inputs and my rear left and rear right speaker inputs. And this cable here is for the remote on and off for the amplifiers. And if you can see, I have the white wire already tied over from the 4-channel amp to the 2-channel amp. So that blue wire will just go here. Speaker inputs, I'm sorry, speaker outputs, speaker output, speaker output, subwoofer input, RCA, and that's it. But I have this tool that I bought, and I've been dying to try it out, and because I'm kind of that guy that everybody calls, especially my brother, and I'm sure we'll be making a field trip over to his garage because he always calls me when it comes to stereo issues. And as you can see, my setup is really old school. So And I've been dying to try some new stuff, and I think the car needs a new head unit because I'd like to have Android Autoplay and Apple Autoplay and or Android CarPlay and or Apple CarPlay, you know, whatever that stuff is. Apple for all you cult members. But anyway, let's get to it. Let me show you this tool. All right, you remember back in the day when you do your stereo, and you were the kind of guy that did one or two things. You'd have your speaker wire, and you take it and you twist it like I'm doing here, you know, to get it nice and tight. And you just take that and you just stick it underneath the terminal for your amp, and you just screw it down. Or you were the other kind of guy who would take these two wires, twist them real tight, and go grab one of those terminals with either a fork or the one that had the loop on it. You'd put it on here, and then you take your crimp tool, or you take a pair of cutters that had the flat end, and then you squeeze that thing on there. Then the little plastic on the bottom of the terminal would always get real loose, and it would never stay on there anyway, but you had your terminal on there. And that's really the proper way to do it. But how about this? What if I showed you a way that you could put a terminal on it that looks like this, and slides over your wire like that? You can see the edge of the wire coming out. And this is a 16 gauge. Then you take a tool like this. I don't know how well that's translating. And that just crimps the terminal. Can you see that? And it won't come off. Let's try that again. It's magic. Stick it in there. Let's get this on camera. Stick it in there. And it's on there. It's not coming off. Whoever thought of this was a genius. If you were doing the regular crimp style terminal connectors, and you were doing them in, you know, one with the little plastic thing, the ones I just described, how long would it have taken? I'm done. All I got to do is land these on the amp. Look at that. They won't fray. They won't touch each other. You know, you always have the little flying leads coming off the sides. Done with that one. But Skag, what about the Woofer? I'm getting to that one. This one here is 16 gauge. I have 4 conductor here, but what I'm going to do is double up on this one. I'm going to double up my positive. So 16 divided by 2, that's 8. So that basically make this 8 gauge. Not really, because some wire manufacturers count the gauge with the shielding on it, with the jacket on it. Some of them don't. So when you buy your wire, you want to be mindful of that. But I'm going to double these up. And for this one, and they don't have an 8 gauge, new lips. They don't have an 8 gauge terminal, so I'm going to use the 10 gauge. So I'm going to strip these, twist them together. So, next thing to do is just tidy this up, and done with that. No wasted crimps or no wasted connectors. Terminal assortment. I bought it from Jeff Bezos himself. He said if I buy enough of them, I'll get a ride on the big penis. I mean the Blue Origin. Anyway, I'm gonna tidy these wires up. All right, we're at the subwoofer, and here I have my line input. Now, if you have a bridge, and you have a 2-channel amp that you can bridge down to 1 channel, or a 4-channel amp that you can bridge down to 2 channels, it will basically tell you where to put your input. On this one, this is my bridged input, and also on your speaker line outs, it'll tell you where to hook your speakers or your speaker if it's bridged down to 1 channel. Normally this is the left negative, I'm sorry, left positive, left negative, right negative, right positive. So this one, when it's bridged, it would go here, the positive of the left side and the negative of the right side. So I'm gonna just put that in there. Man, these crimps are so nice. Tidy that up with some wire loom. Bring my camera input and up here. That'll go back to the head unit. And moving on to the cabin amp. And you guys tell me, you know, nobody ever told me, when you have speaker wire, you always have a silver pair, and if it's a good pair, one side would be bare copper and the other side would be tinned copper to give it that silver look, or silver tinned copper. And I always use the silver for my negative. I don't know if that's right or not, but correct me in the comments. Because to me, copper looks red. Or equates to red, how about that? If I was a good videographer, I would have had all these loosened up first. Or we're just running in fast speed right about now. And the remote connection. I'm going to run this under here. Yep, you see me. Time. All right, all done. Just got to tidy these up with some wire loom, and we're done back here. what this is. I think it might be a ground issue. If it's not the subwoofer amp, it might be the ground. It might be a ground issue. Once I touch it to the ground strip, that's when I get the interference. I mean the over here, there's a ground strip for the factory radio, and I think since I added the second battery, that I need to add another ground to this. And that's what's causing that subwoofer. My theory and what I think the problem was with the subwoofer just kind of running away is that since I put in a second battery, have a second ground, the subwoofer itself is being powered off of that auxiliary battery. Even though it is grounded to the chassis, I probably didn't have a good chassis ground up here, which before it didn't matter because I wasn't running that much power, and I don't know. But anyway, so what I did was I fabricated a chassis ground, or I took a piece of wire, made a chassis ground, grounded it right to the radio, to the chassis of the radio, and this wire goes back to what I know as a chassis ground here in behind the dash. So it's mounted to a piece of metal, which is a chassis, and so that should do it. So let's pop this in right quick, because before, anytime I took it out of here and it didn't hit this little ground rail, I got the feedback from the subwoofer. So let's see, we'll turn this on. And then I didn't mean for this to be a audio installation, but anyway, it's a problem I ran into. Maybe you'll run into the problem. Who knows? Let's put it on some non-billable music. Yep, we're good. I'm gonna pause it. Nothing. Not getting any feedback from my subwoofer, and that was happening before. I could just move it around and barely touch the ground strap here, and it would the subwoofer would start running away. So I'm gonna stick this back in the dash, and I'm gonna be done.